Hello guys, I'm Mr.Kooraft. This is the second video of Draw Your Favorite Character with the Citadel Studio. So let's get started.
Everybody, there.
Draw Your Favorite Character is a fun series where I take one of my Patreon supporters and bring their favorite character to life. This time, the winner picked the legendary Predator. And guess what? Citadel Studio has an awesome skirt of it, so I used that for this build. They were also super cool and gave us 20% discount code just for Mr.Kooraft subscribers. So after watching the video, check out the link in the description to get some amazing models from Citadel Studio at a better price. Alright, let's dive in to make this week's winner's favorite character. Let's get to it. Lately, I've been making Draw Your Favorite Character videos back to back, which means I've been creating characters you love, not necessarily the ones I love. And every time this brings a new challenge. I've had to painting things I've never tried before, like a Fire 4 Digimon and a reptile skin when I made Leo. This time, the challenge was metal textures. Not shiny chrome, but aged metal, expertly crafted, not polished, full of times of wear and tear. Tough, right? That meant no glossy primer or polished surfaces, but still I had no clue how to begin painting reptile skin in the full metal armor. And just when I was figuring out everything I ordered for the build, metal paints, weathering effects, resin got lost in the shipping from the US. That was $600 gone, and in this country, where materials aren't available locally, everything has to be imported. Reordering would take a whole month, so I had no choice but to work with what I had. But you know what they say. A crisis is opportunity. My plan fell apart, but I kept going and discovered new tips and techniques I never expected. And so today's video is packed with even more value than usual. Stick around until the end, you don't want to miss it. Alright, everything's ready. Let's paint. First up, I'll be painting Predator's metal armor. Now, even though he might be fictional, but on screen, he's a living, breathing alien. So the paint job needs to feel just as real. But I mentioned in the intro, my entire plan fell apart due to that shipping disaster. So now, all I have to go on are render the images, and I had to completely rethink my painting strategy from scratch. I kept asking myself, how can I capture the look of real metal using just a couple of paints? And then it hit me. What if I rely heavily on washes? Maybe the gritty, weighted texture is the key to making it look real. So today, with just these two colors, I'm going to try and bring Predator's armor to life. Here, wait, let me share a quick and awesome tip for adding shadows and highlights to metallic surfaces. Normally, when working with acrylics, we build the shadows and highlights by layering darker or lighter colors over the base coat. That also works with the metallics, but there's a much simpler and more realistic method. Most metals don't actually have a color. What we see as a darker or lighter is usually just the effect of shadows and reflections on the surface. So instead of switching to different metal paint, you can keep the metallic texture intact by using just washes to define depth and contrast. Start by applying your brightest metallic paint as a base coat. Then flow some wash into the cracks, crevices, and recess the areas to bring out those details. Next, use your airbrush to softly build the shadows, mimicking how light would naturally fall across the surface. Finally, add highlights, scratches, and edge definition with the dry brushing. This combo creates a highlight realistic matte finish with a very little paint and maximum effect. Now I will start painting all the metallic parts using the method I explained earlier. In the lore, the predators are ancient beings, so ancient that they are said to come from the civilization far older than we can imagine. There's no clear info about their names, origins, or even their lifespan. They are complete mysteries. So I started to wonder, what do alien material actually feel like? I imagine something that's strong but oddly light and flexible at the same time. Something like a lead or an aluminum alloy. And while this might sound like just random thinking, it actually helps me a lot when I paint. Seriously, try it. When you are painting a specific texture, ask yourself, what material is this? Where is it used? How long has it been used? When you imagine these things while painting, it brings a whole new level of realism to your work. It's like this, your hands are painting the present, but your mind is visualizing the future result. Now that it's time to start painting Predator's skin, I need to clean off all the meta powder from my gloves and thoroughly wash my brushes. Then wait a minute, when working with the metallic paint, the tiny meta particles in the paint can easily rub off and stick to other parts of the model. Especially if they get on your hands, and this can ruin your paint job if you are not careful. This tip is especially useful when you are painting areas that include both metal and non-metal elements. Usually painters start with the deepest inner layers, mask them off, and then work outward to the raised part. But metallic paints leave heavy brush marks, so for smooth, polished metal surface, unbrushed is the way to go. That's why here, I start by painting the most exposed metal areas first using an airbrush, and then apply a wash over it. This locks the metal particles in place so they won't transfer even if touched later. And here's a bonus tip. If you're worried about messing up nearby areas that are already finished, apply a thin layer of varnish. It acts like a save point in a game, so if you make a mistake, it's much easier to clean up. Finally, all the metal parts are painted. Since washes can peel off easily, I'm gonna lightly spray some varnish to set a checkpoint, just like I mentioned earlier. Hold on, when you are sealing metal paint, try to use metal varnish if possible. There are two main reasons for this. First, regular varnish can dull the shine of metallic paint. Second, if you use a water-based acrylic varnish, the metal particles in the paint can mess with the surface tension, causing the varnish to bead up instead of sticking properly. I didn't know this at first. I ruined a few pieces after finishing my work. Ever since, I've been using metal varnish or lacquer varnish for my metal paint. These are two that I usually use. To be honest, before starting this part, I really wasn't sure if I could pull it off. I only had a few shades of metallic paint, and more importantly, I didn't have much experience. For days, I just kept imagining how the metal texture should look, but couldn't bring myself to get started. But in the end, I was able to get results that went beyond what I imagined using just 2 colors. And thanks to that, I was able to finish the work and make this video. Also, what you didn't see in the video is that it didn't go well from the beginning. I kept trying the tweaking things until I got a result I was happy with. That process helped me get used to painting metal textures, so by the time I was filming, I could look more confident on camera. Of course, this isn't the end. Another challenge is waiting for me. After finishing all the paint work, I'm gonna try adding a glow effect on top. I've never done that before, so yeah, I'm a little nervous about it. I'm done painting the hair, and as a final step, I'm gonna use a wash to bring back the definition between each strand that got a bit blurred out from the airbrushing. Just wondering, what's your favorite movie from the Predator series? The latest one, Prey, was pretty awesome, but for me, Predator 1 is still the best. I think it's because it was the first Predator I ever saw on TV when I was a kid. Oof, it blew my mind. The cloaking device, the shoulder-mounted plasma gun, he was the coolest alien I had ever seen. But now I'm curious, do Predators actually have a names? I mean, Predator is just what we call them in human language, right? If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. Speaking of which, I sometimes have these random debates with my wife about Predator versus Alien. Who's cooler? Who's stronger? Totally pointless but still fun. I'm 100% Team Predator, and my wife is a full-on Team Alien. Here's what I say. Predators are intelligent like humans, and they respect nature, follow codes of honor. And they are basically badass warrior aliens. But my wife goes, aliens are pure strength, no sneaky stealth tactics or fancy weapons, and they just look cooler. Well, and that's how our never-ending battle goes on, even right now. So what do you think? Who's the better species? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what side you're on. Wait a sec, don't miss this. This tip is super important and I actually talked about it in the previous video. Since it's just as important here, I will go over it one more time, nice and simple. If you look at the build, you will see 2 brass wires, and I've got a short clip to show you exactly why they are needed. As you can see, over time the Predator's spear starts to bend. To prevent this, I drilled holes the size of the wire into the original model and inserted the wires. That way it keeps the shape and doesn't bend over time. For the full tutorial, just click the card at the top right. Right now, what I'm painting isn't really a highlight. It's more like a dry brushing to bring out the texture on the surface. You can't really see it on camera, but I'm trying to emphasize the texture of the ropes and fabric. In this case, the process is a bit different from painting regular highlights. For light-based highlights, I paint them after the wash, but for emphasizing texture, I do dry brushing first, then apply wash on top. This softens the edges between the colors and adds depth through the wash, making the texture stand out more. Now that all the predators are painted, it's time to work on the glow effects I mentioned earlier. This is my first time trying this technique, and since I've heard it's not easy to create glow effects using acrylics, I planned it thoroughly in advance and mentally simulated the process over and over again. For reference, I followed the fantastic YouTuber. Among all the videos I found, this one was truly the best guide I came across. It doesn't just cover glow effects, it also shares tons of tips on brush painting techniques. So I definitely recommend checking it out. First, I apply the base layer of white and then layer the transparent orange over it. Now, due to the shipping issue I mentioned earlier, I didn't have a right paint, so I mixed glaze medium and thinner medium to make my own. But for you, I suggest using one of many glow effect paint that are already available in the market. After that, I painted white again in the center of the light source and once more layer the glow color over it. To be honest, using an airbrush would be a better way to express the light spreading out. But I just didn't have the guts to try that. So instead, I thinned the white paint and used the brush. Then I layered the transparent orange again. And that's it. How does it look? It's not perfect, but I think it turned out pretty good. So, with the exception of the base, all the Predator painting is done. Oh, and there's something I wanted to say earlier, but I think now's the time.
DJ drop the beat, let's get it.
Got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town. What the hell's wrong with me? I don't get along with anybody, honestly. I've been living in my own head constantly, thoughts jumbled round, think I need a new lobotomy. Wait, all these thoughts are too negative, I don't wanna get lost in the sedative. Gotta show them what I got, I'm competitive. You know I'm about to go off, I won't let them win, I'll take a stab. I wanna chase a bag, I wanna weigh, I can change all the things I lack. I gotta face the facts, I got a taste in that. Got me obsessed with the rest, I got an itch to scratch. I'll give up everything. If I could see my dreams, I'll make things right. 'Cause I'll do anything to make what I want a reality. Don't let go. Don't let go. I'll make things right. 'Cause I'll do anything to make what I want a reality.
I just wanna find a way out, sick of the venom in my brain. Running from the past, wanna escape my pain. I just wanna be a better person, I deserve this. I just wanna break these chains. Always asking for greatness, true to myself, I never fake it. Seen too many ones that are so they get famous. When I say the truth, most really can't take it. In spite of everything I've been through, I'ma make it. Fake friends, but on my downfall is toxic. Day one, started the outlaws for profit. Now all I do is write verses, no talking. All I do is put the work in, no option. This was everything I ever wanted. Created a legacy off of me just being honest. And the fake ones hate, but it's all to no avail. They wanna see me lose, but you know I never fail.
So this marks the end of my Predator project. Honestly, whenever I make a video, I see myself as the first viewer and my biggest fan. What that means is, even if I watch it over 20 times, if I still enjoy it, then I believe others will too. And this video, especially this one, is a perfect example of that. The character was chosen by my amazing supporter and friend, but it also happens to be one of my favorite characters as well. Whenever I carve someone's name into a figure, I believe I should carry that weight with the responsibility. Because of that, the video broke every record. I used the painting techniques I had never tried before, spent the longest time painting, recorded more than 2 terabytes of footage, spent countless hours editing, packed in more tips than ever, wrote and recorded the longest English script so far, used the most visual effects, and for the first time ever studied and used After Effects. Side note, don't do that. I spent over 72 hours just for a 4 seconds clip. Seriously, don't. Anyway, this is without doubt the video that took me the most time to make. And there's another reason. Because of shipping accident I mentioned earlier, I'm now out of resin and I can't afford to reorder. So I knew I had to put everything I could into this one. Even if I uploaded was delayed, I wanted to make it worth it. Even though I can make new figures for a while, I'm planning tip videos and other content, so if there's anything you want to see, please leave a comment and let me know. Oh, one more thing. If you like the Predator's custom spear, the Alien's Tail SDF file, or full color palette I used, you can download them by joining my Patreon. Lastly, to every single supporter of the Mr.Kooraft channel, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Every cent of your support goes straight into the channel, not my stomach. I promise it's used only to keep making better videos. This was Mr. Kooraft. I'll be back next time.